Hi, it's Lauren. Welcome back to my craft room, and thanks for joining today on the card Hoppin' Hop for February. And this month we are stamping with water or stamping with bleach. And I thought I would give stamping with bleach a try. Um, but when I was doing this background, which you could see I distressed on some white cardstock, I realized I was out of bleach and all I had was bleach cleaner. So I attempted to do this technique and it looked fine on that background because it's ink and it's distress oxide. And of course, it's going to react with anything liquid. But when I tried on this dark teal cardstock, obviously nothing happened. So I went to the store and I bought a little bottle of bleach, and I'm going to be ultra careful and pour some bleach into a little dish that I have that I also put a piece of paper towel inside. So folded it up, trying to create my own little ink pad, if you will, with bleach. And again, I was so nervous with bleach in my craft room. I don't know why I chose this one. I should have just done stamping with water. But I'm using these hops to really try to expand my crafting. So I am using some water kind of ripply wave looking stamps. This is from the stamp set called Pool Party, and I am just stamping them onto this dark teal background, and I did cut it with Lawn Fawn's Stitch Ripple backdrop, and this Pool Party stamp set is Lawn Fawn as well. And I'm just dabbing each of these little stamps into the bleach and stamping it onto my dark cardstock. And so far it seems to be activating. There is some areas on my paper where I'm stamping that are definitely lightening up as I'm going along. I'm switching over to a larger wave now. As you can see, it should have grabbed a larger dish. So I'm struggling a little bit stamping this larger wave, but it's fine. I'm doing it. And it's turning out pretty cool. I've never done this before. It's an interesting technique. I think my anxiety is a little too high with bleach in my craft room and carpeted floors. But overall, it was really cool, and I think it turned out pretty neat looking. So here you can see those waves are lightening up on that cardstock. So I'm happy with how things are going. So I'm going to go to the bathroom, rinse off my stamps, and throw away my bleach towel. I put it in a plastic bag that I will throw away outside. I wanted to add some shine to my water, so I took my iridescent glitter dust from Thermoweb and completely covered my blue water background and set it aside to dry. I trimmed down my background and used a simple wavy border die, so it looks kind of like water, also from Lawn Fawn. And the layout I had in my head is for the Inspired By, which is the theme for this hop. I am inspired by a Lawn Fawn challenge to create a card that looks like my hometown. And I live in a city called Lake Forest, so I wanted to create a scene with a lake and some trees. So I trimmed down my background and I realized that I didn't really get a lot of my bleach stamping into my layout. So I'm going to do a little more. I brought back another makeshift stamp pad of bleach, and I took a couple small clouds from the Lawn Fawn stamp set called All the Clouds, and I'm just stamping them on this lighter blue cardstock. Now, because this is a light color, the bleach doesn't look as bright as it did on my darker blue cardstock, but you can see it's there. There are some very faint clouds. So I'm just using my scenes here. I die cut some green mountainy hills. I live in like a saddleback area, and that's the forest backdrop from Lawn Fawn. Oh no, the brown is the forest backdrop. The green mountainy hills is Stitch Mountain borders. I use some Lawn Fawn cardstock for most of this. I'll always have everything down in my description box if you have any questions about what I'm using. And once I have enough clouds, and you can see they're faintly trying to show up, I'm going to start building my scene. So I'm going to jump through my gluing here. I'm just adding my green mountainy hills to my blue sky, and then my shiny blue lake on top of that. And then I'm using some foam adhesive behind my forest backdrop, so that way I just have a little bit of dimension. It looks like my scene is kind of like further back from these little trees in the front. I also die cut my trees from that die set in the same texture green cardstock as my hills. The brown is also the textured cardstock from Lawn Fawn, and just using some wet glue to glue those to the front of the frame. I was going to continue on with the little grassy bits, but I wanted to get my critters stamped, colored, and cut out. These are 3 little critters from Critters in the Burbs, which is an older Lawn Fawn stamp set. I stamped with their crunchy leaf brown ink and colored them in with my Oh Hoo Hoo alcohol markers, and I just fussy cut them out. There is a die set that I will link down below, but I don't have it. I thought that my card looked a little kind of, I don't want to say sad because that's not true. It was missing something. So I thought I would do a sentiment. So I took the large of the simple wavy banners and I'm putting it into the bottom right hand side of my Misty. Now I want to curve my sentiment. Sorry that my head is totally covering everything right there. So I'm using a piece of acetate that's about the size of the banner. It's just a scrap piece of acetate, and because it is acetate, the photopolymer stamp will kind of stick to it. So I'm using that to be able to curve my sentiment to match the shape of the wavy banner underneath the acetate. I close my Misty door, I can take off the acetate, and when I stamp it down, it will stamp how I wanted it to on my banner. So now I'm going to attach my banner to my card. I'm trying to get off all the little paper hairs that sometimes happens when you use a self-healing cutting mat. I have my magic mat that I do my die cutting with. So once I have the placement of the banner that I like, I know I need to use some foam adhesive behind the banner more towards the right because it's going to be in that open window area that I popped up. So I added some foam adhesive there and some regular wet glue where it will adhere to the brown part of the cardstock that is already popped up. So now I'm going to kind of figure out my layout. I'm going to zoom in here so it's a little easier to see. And I'm going to start with just placing my critters about where I want them to go. And then I have my little tufts of grass arranged also with the critters in front of the trees. Once I'm pretty happy with how it looks, I'm just going to grab my wet glue and my little jewel pick thingy and I'm going to start gluing them down. So I just use the waxy point of this tool to pick up the paper, and then I add glue, and then I set it down, and then I use the pick side of this tool if I need to kind of adjust my piece any, or if I need to pick up a little excess glue. Once I have those tufts of grass down, I'm going to add my critters. Now my butterfly will be in the middle of the scene. I wanted it kind of overlapping my banner just a little bit, so I used some foam adhesive so that way it's on the same kind of dimension level as my banner. And then my squirrel and my bunny are just going to be glued to the brown frame. And the reason why I did these critters is because in my area we have a ton of little bunnies that are always running around, and we have lots of squirrels, and then we also get really pretty, I think they're called painted lady butterflies that will come around in the springtime. So those were just some animals that were inspired by what I see here in my neighborhood. Once I have everything glued down, I went ahead and got my card base ready. Since this is a landscape card, I'm doing a side folding A2 and just turning it 90 degrees so that way it will be top folding when it's in its landscape. I'm adding some strong adhesive to the back of my completed card, and then I will add that to the card base. Now I couldn't leave well enough alone. I still felt like a little something was missing. So I'm grabbing a Pops of Color in a green kind of glitter color. It's really pretty. I've never used it before, so I had to actually open it up and take out the little red stopper that helps keep it sealed. And I'm just adding it along to one edge of the tree and kind of following where the different layers of the tree are, and I did that on all 4, you can see here. So this is my final card. Again, it's inspired by my hometown, and I did stamping with bleach, even though I don't think I really did as much as I could have. Again, I was so nervous. I had never done this technique before, but I hope I've inspired you to try it out yourself and that you enjoyed today's hop and learned something new. Just click on the hashtag in my title of my video or in my description to see everyone participating. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!